Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing well and keeping safe. This is Del from HANDMADE, and today we will be trying to achieve the gemstone effect in resin, but I'll be trying a different method and I'll be trying two different ways to see if I can achieve some bolder, more prominent gemstone looking pieces. I'm using two different herring molds and I'm gonna do half one way and half the other way. So I'm starting off by mixing up 2-part epoxy resin, and to make sure that I mix my resin properly, I follow the manufacturer's instruction. This is a 1-to-1 ratio. I measure carefully using a silicone mold and a big spoon. I mix until the resin is clear. I promised a dedicated video on that, but I just haven't been able to get to it as yet. But that is basically what I do. I make sure that I mix until the resin is clear. For the first way, I am adding a very thin layer of clear epoxy resin to half of the cavities in the molds, and I'm doing this to create a certain amount of depth. I want to see if the depth is going to add to the gemstone look versus the others that I'm not going to do this. The next step is where I'm trying out this new method. So in the past, I would have just gone ahead and brushed the iridescent powder on the resin and move on. But in this one, I am trying to mix the iridescent powder in some resin because I want to see if it intensifies the gemstone look. I previously mixed iridescent powder in resin when I did the nail stamping tool video, and I found it interesting. I like the color of the resin that was mixed with the iridescent powder. So I thought, what if I try to do this for a gemstone effect, but just brush a very thin layer of the iridescent powder colored resin on top of the clear layer and see how it goes. So that is what I'm trying to see how it will work out today. So I'm not sure, I've never done this, but that's what we're doing. So I'm just adding the iridescent colored resin to each of the cavities. Do you notice that the iridescent resin has a milky look, but the top is kind of shiny? Anyways, I allowed that layer to cure and now it's time to move on. So I'm using some iridescent powders. And this is me showing you how to check the colors of your iridescent powders. If you're not sure, just brush a thin layer on your hand or on any surface and you will see. So I'm just brushing on the iridescent powders now. I'm using 4 different ones and I am putting a different color behind each of the original colors that I had mixed the iridescent powder with the resin. And so this is what we had. And now I'm just backing all of them with black. In hindsight, I am thinking that I should have used white for at least some of the pieces because my preferred gemstone effect has a white backing. It just looks more subtle, it looks more natural to me than for the ones that have the black backing, but that completely slipped my mind. So that is something that I will learn from going forward. Basically, each of these pieces will have 2 different iridescent powders. The first layer of iridescent color was mixed in with resin and put down, and then the last layer was just brushed on. And I'm just tidying up here. For the ones that are putting too much resin, I'm trying to scoop it out with this stick because it's so much easier to clean up when the resin is wet rather than waiting when the resin is dried. So I just cleaned up and allowed the pieces to dry. And this is me testing to make sure that the pieces have all dried, have all cured. And now it's time for the best part of the video to see what we ended up with. So these pieces that I'm holding in my hand are the best pieces in my opinion. They're the ones that turned out the way that I was sort of envisioning. I will go ahead though and say that the gemstone pieces that I've made before have turned out better. The brushing on of the resin, even the single layer of iridescent powder that was brushed on and then backed, turned out better than these. I will also say too that the pieces that had the clear layer of resin first, they're the ones that I like. They're the ones that has the depth and the different shades when the piece is shifted. They're the ones that has the better gemstone look. The pieces that did not have the clear layer first are a little bit flat and I suppose because the amount of iridescent colored resin that was put on was thicker than the one that was on the clear pieces, they also turned out having less of a gemstone look, because I suppose it was harder to see the brushed layer behind the first layer. But all in all, I do think these pieces are pretty, and I don't think the video shows you just how pretty they are, but they did turn out fine, and I'm gonna use these to make some wonderful pieces of earrings. I've included some pictures so that you can see what how I've used these simple pieces from these gemstone molds to make some pieces. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching.